I'm Jenny with Charleston Reiki Healing, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. There is some information on the website about me and my background, but I had somebody ask me yesterday how I got involved in this work, and so I just wanted to give you a little bit of an introduction to who I am if you haven't worked with me before, or maybe you just don't know that much about me and would like to. So, many of you know, and those of you who don't, I have Lyme disease. I'm considered in late stage for nearly 20 years now. And it took me so many years to get a diagnosis. I was sick from the time I was a young child, and I was still functional up until I was in my late 20s. I, lived a relatively normal life, but I had all these unexplainable symptoms that a child wouldn't normally have unless there's something else going on. So when I was in around fourth grade, so maybe about 10 years old, 9, 10 years old, somewhere in that range, I started developing as one of these many symptoms, migraines. Almost every single day, really severe, just like blinding migraines, where I had to be in a dark room with complete silence, a cold cloth on my head. It was excruciating. And I was getting these almost every day. I was seeing a neurologist along with all the other specialists for other symptoms and everything else, and the pediatrician. And I started realizing, and this just came to me, I guess intuitively, like I didn't know that word then. I was like 9 or 10. But so what I started doing was I started focusing on the headache and just envisioning it leaving my body and like pushing it out of my body. And what I didn't realize at the time was I was doing energy work. Now, I could only make that actually work if I caught it right at the beginning when the migraine started. If I waited until it got bad, I just didn't have it in me to do that. It was too difficult. So, fast forward years later, my health continued to deteriorate when I was in my 20s. And in my late 20s, I had a collapse. Continued to get worse. By the time I was 31, I was bedridden for several months. Went to so many doctors, which I'd already been going to so many doctors over the years. And eventually, with my own research, because by that point we finally had the internet, so I finally, looked at Lyme as one of the possible causes of all these issues I was having. And along with some other things, went to yet another doctor and said, okay, I have one of these things, tell me which one it is. And I did have a borderline positive Lyme test. I'd been tested for Lyme when I was much younger, in my early 20s, and it came out negative. But what I know now is that all they test for is the antibodies. They don't test for the actual bacteria that causes the disease. So the problem with that is if you've had it for years, sometimes the antibodies give up, or they might give up for a while and then become active again. They're not going to be consistently active for, that many years. Anyway, so I was able to locate a Lyme specialist and undergone some really severe treatment. I was on at one point like 3 different antibiotics in like way stronger than they would normally be prescribed, like 2 to 3 times stronger, all 3 at the same time. And it actually made me a lot sicker than I already was, unfortunately. So I did that for 2.5 years. It was crippling. It was horrible. Some of the symptoms were just unbelievable. I couldn't stand sunlight. I would get sunburnt just being outside on a normal day for like 5 minutes. It would be blinding. Like I would have to put something over my eyes. I had to cover every inch of my skin. I could go on and on with all the issues. I was having major GI issues, like really severely. And I finally, after 2.5 years, was getting worse instead of better. And I decided to quit that and just say, enough is enough. And this wasn't with like a quack. This was like with one of the country's leading Lyme specialists. So, I think what the bottom line is that they don't really have a consistent cure for Lyme disease, especially in the later stages. If you catch it right away, you're probably okay as long as it's treated aggressively. But in the later stages, it's, really a roll of the dice. There are some people who have done really well with more, Western treatments, but there really isn't a specific Western treatment that's approved. The CDC frowns on it, which not that I have a lot of faith in them, but that's another story. Anyway, so not long after all that, and while some of that was happening, I started looking at other things. I just happened out of the blue to stumble across a Reiki share where a group of people were getting together to practice Reiki. I had never heard the word Reiki. I had no idea what it was. And I asked, hey, what is this? And I really didn't get much of an answer. But I convinced my best friend to go with me as moral support to this strange woman's house and have these people practice Reiki on me. And it was a life-changing experience. So the first and foremost thing was that Reiki does not use your own energy. So I've had people ask me about my Reiki energy. It's not mine, it's the universe's. So Reiki is the energy of creation, which basically means wherever you believe creation comes from. And so Reiki is not religious in any way. If you believe that God is the energy of creation, if you're an atheist and you believe it's some sort of a scientific thing, it doesn't matter. Wherever you believe that energy comes from, we all agree that it exists, no matter what your particular beliefs are. So when I do Reiki or any practitioner performs Reiki, we are drawing that energy into ourselves through the crown of our head, through our body, and then usually out through the hands. At the master level, which I am also, we can also project it through our heart chakra. But I usually, in most cases, just to continue to use my hands. So I started, I was very interested in Reiki. I was immediately intrigued. I felt a huge difference even just after that first session. And I was like, I need more of this. I need to learn this. So I started studying. I started doing Reiki on myself, and I started feeling better. I mean, I wasn't anywhere near 100%, but I was improving. And so that meant the world to me. And I wasn't intending to practice professionally, but after I reached my level 2, a couple of people started asking me, hey, do you do professional Reiki sessions? And so for a little while, I was working out of a chiropractor's office on the days that his massage therapist wasn't there, so I could use her room. And then I started practicing out of my home not long after that. So that's going back to 2002. And then 2005 is when I finally decided I was ready for my master teacher training. And it's been life-changing. It really has been. Meanwhile, along the way, I've picked up so many other modalities that I work with. So EFT, hypnosis, these are all things that have helped me. And what it really comes down to is that anything that I found helpful to me, I want to then share with others. And okay, this helped me, so now maybe I can help 100 people, 1,000 people, maybe more, And I love helping people. So these are things that I wish I had known about so many years ago. So I try to get the word out. I want to share with people. If you're watching this video and you live in another state, I can do Reiki long distance, but you might have a neighbor who's a Reiki practitioner that you already know, and that's okay, that's cool. If you want to go work with your neighbor or whoever it is that maybe a coworker that does Reiki, that's okay. I just really like to spread the word about these different modalities. So EFT was another one that I stumbled across. My best friend, who I have to refer to as my sister, she first heard of it in, I want to say about 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. And she started, watching some videos and learning bits and pieces about it. And in 2008, she and I both embarked on a journey to really start learning a lot more about this. And we had kind of both done our Reiki journey together, and we kind of did our EFT journey together, although not exactly the same way. We had somewhat different teachers with some overlap. And one of the things that I love about EFT is that it's very specific. So for Reiki is a very general type of healing. It works on the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, and the mental, and it goes wherever it's needed. You can direct it, but it's an intelligent energy. It's going to go to where you need it most, regardless of where you think you need it, if that makes sense. With EFT, it's very specific. It's very direct, almost like a laser pointer. Okay, this is the problem. We're going to hone in on that and attack that. And that's why a lot of times, and if you've worked with me before, you'll notice that a lot of times I like to use both in conjunction with one another. So, if somebody has a specific problem, I'll do some Reiki sessions and some EFT sessions with that person. The EFT is tapping. You might have heard of it as tapping before. It's emotional freedom technique, but a lot of people just call it tapping because it involves, and it looks really weird, like it involves like tapping on these different points of your body, mostly your face, but also your upper body as well. And those are meridian endings. For those people who have heard of acupuncture, I like to explain it as being like acupuncture, but with no needles. So it's very specific. It hones in on a specific issue. That issue can be physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, but we are selecting a specific issue to work on. We're getting very detailed, very specific, and just honing in on that one thing and trying to clear it out. So, you know, that could be anything from a phobia, it could be an issue with anxiety, it could even be a physical ailment, you know, like maybe you've got a shoulder that there's something not right with and, you know, you haven't been able to resolve it and you have a doctor suggesting surgery, but you want to try some other things before you go that route, or maybe you're having some other type of, you know, conventional treatment, but you want something to supplement it and complement it. And both of these modalities are great for complementing Western medicine. I never tell anybody to not see a doctor. My personal experience with my health journey has been that these are the things that have helped me more than Western medicine has. But, you know, Western medicine definitely has its place. It's helpful for a lot of people. So, you know, don't ever stop seeing your doctor because you're going to have Reiki. But you can have Reiki while you're seeing your doctor, while you're doing whatever other types of therapy. These things all complement one another. So I got involved in hypnosis initially with past life regression. That's something I've been fascinated with for much of my life because I have spontaneous past life memories that came to me before I ever had a regression. And it's something that just really fascinated me for so long. And I eventually finally had one for myself. And then I had another. And then I was like, wow, okay, this is something that has changed my life. I need to share it with other people. You know, does this sound familiar? So pretty much anything that has changed my life, I want to share with others. Anything that has improved my life, I want to share with others. That's just how I roll. So these are things that I've wanted to bring to other people to help them be a better person. And you might wonder, like, past life regression, like, how can that help you be a better person? I go into a lot more detail about that in other videos, and I'm going to be doing some new videos about past life regression. I've got a lot of information on my website about it, so you can read that, and I will be making some videos to answer some questions about that too and explain a little more about it. But anyway, that's a little bit about me. I do still have Lyme disease, in case you're wondering. I do still have some limitations. You know, I've got some physical issues and some limitations, but I'm not bedridden. I have been in times, there's been periods of time in between over the years that, you know, my health has deteriorated again for a little while, but I use these modalities to bring myself out of it. At one point I was very close to death, and Reiki and EFT completely saved my life, and I am not exaggerating. Like, I actually would have died. I saw doctors who said there is nothing else I can do for you, and you know, the person who was helping care for me because I couldn't walk at the time got me back home, and I was like close to death, and I just started, you know, doing Reiki, and I had another practitioner also working on me, and I was using EFT and finally turned it around. It was a really rough time in my life, but I'm very grateful to these modalities for helping me so much. And as far as other hypnosis goes, that's relatively new to my repertoire. That's just something I've learned over the last few years, is using hypnosis to help with fears, phobias, addictions, things along those lines. So I've added that on just because it is one more way that I can help people, one more thing that's been helpful to me. And so I like to just mix up modalities, find what's going to work for whoever I'm working with. I try to customize plans. When someone comes to me with a problem, it's like, okay, let's talk and see how we can fix this. And that could involve, you know, one or two of those modalities. It could involve multiple modalities. You know, it just really depends on the situation. So that's a little bit about me. That's about how I got into what I do. And I'll be explaining a little bit more about these different things in other videos. You can watch some of my past videos. And just so you know, I took this video. I don't normally do the vertical video. You know, I usually do the sideways ones. But it's just after New Year's. Happy New Year's, by the way. And I wanted to showcase my beautiful little tree that is getting ready to come down in the next few days. This is a little dwarf Alberta spruce, and it's living in a pot that's behind this little white thing. And I am going to take down the decorations and put him outside and give him a bigger pot and some water, and he will live outside in a big pot. And hopefully next year for the holidays, I'll be able to bring him inside again and enjoy him once more that way. But I can enjoy him all year round, you know, just undecorated. Anyway, so I wanted you guys to see that, and that's why I'm sitting on the floor over here and doing this vertical video so you can see the whole tree with the beautiful albino peacock and the little topper on top. So I love plants, I love trees, and that's about me and about how I got into this practice. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you click on the, I guess it's on this side for you, the little drop down arrow that says more info, if you click on that, it'll open up some more information, and it has my website on it, and it also has my email, and you can, you know, drop me an email if you have any questions, or you might want to peruse the website if you haven't already. So I hope that helps out and knowing a little bit more about me, and now I want to hear about you. So tell me about you, tell me what we can do together, or just tell me what you like about my work or anything. I don't care. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Happy New Year and namaste.